The Administrator of NASA, Mr. Charlie Bolden, has graciously offered his time tonight to come to speak with us and share his experiences and thoughts on the young generation, students and young professionals. This is the second time he's joined us here at our closing ceremony. And last year, I was unable to experience the opportunity to be amongst you all because my best friend in Australia, he was getting married at the time, on this very night, 1 year ago. And he asked me to be the best man. I, of course, accepted, and we were getting really excited about it. And a few weeks out from the wedding, I was informed that Administrator Bolden would be joining us. I was like, man, that would have been great. And my best mate, he says to me, look, I know it's my wedding and all, but this is a big deal for you. You can go if you want. I won't mind. I said, nah, no worries, mate. I'm Australian, that's how we talk. I know my friends at Space Generation. They're going to show him such a good time, he won't be able to resist coming back next year. Then I'll get my chance. In fact, I'm sure they'll show him such a good time that he'll tell all of his NASA buddies about it as well, and they're going to want to come next year. So we're so pleased to welcome tonight Administrator Bolden, welcome back, and all of your NASA colleagues. It's so great to have you here, and we're looking forward to your speech tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Because it's probably going to take a few hands to do what I want to do. I'm trying to be high-tech. Okay, I listened today as the different groups were speaking, and I hope I learned something. One of the things I really liked was down-to-earth space stage. I loved it. And I will say that I thought Team Awesome was very impressive, but so were all the teams. It was really, it was a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to listen to the presentations that were made. And I know it was just a synopsis of what you had been doing over, what, a day and a half of pretty intense conversation, probably. Bill Gerstenmaier, who is here, who runs our Human Exploration Mission Directorate, Bill had told me earlier that he gave you a challenge to go find an answer about bandwidth and spectrum and all other kinds of things, and I'm still waiting for the answer because, believe it or not, we will probably use it back in Washington. We're searching. We're looking for help. But I want to thank you for the opportunity to come back for this 10th Congress. What you do, I think, is absolutely incredible. And I will tell you another thing. What I think, it's fortuitous in my mind that we are in this place, not the restaurant, but in Cape Town, South Africa. You know, I had an opportunity yesterday to spend some time with students at South Peninsula High School, and there may be some people from Cape Town who live here and are familiar with the school, but it is a school that speaks so much to the progress and struggles of this great country. You know, you all are too young, I think. It's sort of like Apollo Soyuz. Most of you have probably read about it somewhere, and hopefully everybody recognized it when John Karras mentioned it. Hopefully there's no one here who didn't even recognize it. But none of you lived through that. And most of you have probably read about the period of apartheid in this country, but none of you lived through that. And my wife, Jackie, is here with me, and we connected so well with the kids here in the schools, because I grew up in South Carolina. I was born in 1946 and went to school in South Carolina in the segregated South, and watched my region of the United States change and mature and grow and get to be where it is today. And as I told the students, you know, we in the United States haven't figured it all out yet. I mean, we probably will never figure it all out, but we're a lot better off than we used to be. And the message I tried to leave with them was a message of hope that they will make a difference in this country. That they, by taking over from their teachers and their mentors and living their dreams, they will make an incredible difference for this nation and for the world. And I say the same thing to all of you as I listen to you today, or your representatives. You will make an incredible difference in our world in the years ahead. You know, I think you now have, what is it, more than 1,000 members in 100 countries or something like that. And that's pretty spectacular. I'm really impressed with that. Those of you who were selected to come to this Congress and represent your own organizations, you're here because you want to make a contribution. And I think everybody feels that you will do that. And I'm hoping to get more ideas from you. I got a lot of ideas today and just listening to the presentations, but I'm hoping to get more ideas to take back to the United States and to NASA with me. You know, students around college campuses when I travel, or in high schools, or in elementary schools, or in kindergartens, believe it or not, because I go from kindergarten to post-grad. I just, it's invigorating to be around all of you. And I know there's some young professionals here. How many of you, raise your hand if you're a young professional, if you're not here for the Congress. Fantastic. And I think we're going to get together sometime later on. Any students here? Like undergraduates, not, let's go through it this way. Any college undergrads here? Fantastic. Any high school students here? Okay, we're not going that far. That's okay. No, but it's, you know, I think hopefully all of you agree with me. I think you all are fired up about making a difference. And you're fired up about finding the capabilities that we need to do what John Kara said. You know, his date will become true if you rise to the occasion and help us develop the capabilities that we need. Michael and John and I were talking at the table. Michael raised the question of, could we do a one-way mission? Would that speed up going to Mars? And the question I asked Michael, you know, was, okay, and what would we gain by doing that on a one-way mission? Could we do it faster? Potentially yes, but we don't really know because several things we do know. We know that there's a very harsh radiation environment between here and there. We don't understand it fully. And the thing that I worry about and my doctors worry about is when we get humans to Mars, will the radiation environment through which they've gone affect the central nervous system to the point that they can't turn a dial? You know, so to get somebody there because they volunteered to be the one person to take a one-way trip would be okay, but I want you to be able to do something when you get there. And I'm not capable of telling you that I can do that just yet. And so I tell members of Congress, I tell people all over the world, actually, when I talk to them, we're not ready yet. But I think we will be ready when we get the systems available, a heavy lift launch vehicle that we're developing, the multi-purpose crew vehicle, Orion, that John and his company are developing. So we're going to do it. And I think it's going to be great. You know, the committees, I took notes. I was impressed. I was surprised to hear the outreach group say that that some of the African space leaders seem to be unwilling to share, and I'm not sure I grasp that yet. So I'm meeting with some of the leaders of African space agencies, some of the emerging agencies around this continent, and I will ask them about it when I meet with them, because you raised the question. And I'm not sure if some of you, Catherine, if maybe you can talk to me tonight and tell me what was meant, you or Michael or somebody from the outreach group, and I forgot who it was. But I think the point I got from the outreach committee was you all have to take the initiative. You know what needs to be done, and so you need to take the initiative. Like I said, Team Awesome was just unbelievable, to be quite honest. And you talked about key applications that we're going to need. Things for disaster management, Earth observations, and geographic information systems, and telepresence. We actually work with 15 East African nations right now, NASA, the U.S. Agency for International Development, with a program called SERVIR, S-E-R-V-I-R. There's a young man here from Kathmandu. Well, you're not from Kathmandu, you're from Nepal though, right? Are you from Kathmandu?
Yeah, Kathmandu is our capital city.
I know. I was there, remember? I missed you. I could spend some time talking about exploration technologies that we need to do what we want to do, but I think most of you know what they are. We delivered we delivered what was called a technology roadmap to the National Research Council back in the United States a little bit more than a year ago. They've given us an interim report, and we expect a full report out in December, and that will either validate or help us develop more things, more capabilities that we don't know we need. But it was one of the interesting things that came out of the preliminary report was their emphasis on meeting societal needs as you develop these technologies that enable you to go places. At our table, we were talking about what do you want to do and what do you want to be able to cope with on this 8-month trip to Mars. You know, if you're in a 3-person crew or a 4-person crew, that's a psychological challenge. I've heard from Leroy Chow, who spent time on Mir and spent time on the International Space Station, how they learned when we built the space station, people thought, you know, somebody talked about a table, and they said, why? You know, you can't sit down. You can strap yourself down, but you can't sit down. So why waste space on a table? And so we didn't put a table in the International Space Station. And the first few crews found that, you know, what's missing here is we're a family. And a family sits around a table, you know, to break bread. And psychologically, we found that we needed a table. Because if you're going to do this thing, and you're going to go to these worlds we've never been before, you're going to go as a family, and a team. And so things that you never ever thought about, you know, become very important. So those are some of the non-technical challenges that we have in front of us. I was talking about Fervor, though. It's a system or a program through which NASA makes available 30 years of archived Earth science data, and then real-time data from what we call the A-Train. It's a series of 7 or 8 now Earth-observing satellites in near-polar orbit that beam down information about our atmosphere, the terrestrial Earth, the water, and the likes. And it's helping us to help people from 15 East African nations build drought and flood models so that they don't go from season to season doing things that are going to be destructive in the next season. We're helping them now to look at everything in a holistic manner such that when you plan for floods, you don't put things in place that are going to make the drought worse. So you collaborate and build flood and drought models that support each other. Helping them with crop management, with water resource management, with disaster management. Those are the kinds of things that we think are really important. And for the nations of Africa, they represent an opportunity to get a foot in the door, to begin to work with space and utilize it for the benefit of societal needs. So those are some of the things we're doing. You know, the space missions we do are absolutely spectacular. I talked to a reporter earlier today who said, well, it was a tough year for NASA. And I looked and I said, you're probably talking about a different place than I work. It was an absolutely incredible year for us. You know, if you're reading the paper and you're trying to follow the politics of Washington, then yeah, maybe it was you consider it a tough year. But I look at achievements and accomplishments. It was a year in which I was able, with my team, to fulfill a promise that we made to the American public and the world that we would safely fly out the shuttle. And it took us a little bit of extra time, but thanks to Bill Gerstenmaier, who is here with his wife Marcia tonight, Bill Gerstenmaier and an absolutely incredibly professional team, particularly the contractors, many of whom knew that each flight was the last flight they were going to work. And for STS-135, the last flight of the space shuttle, out on the runway when we got the vehicle back, knowing that, you know, tomorrow is going to be my last day here. But they worked just as tirelessly and just professionally as they had done the first day they came to work with the company. So that's the kind of team that we have. And that's the kind of dedication they have in the work they do. I have people who worked on the Constellation program. When I came in to be the NASA administrator and sat with the, not very long, but sat with the president, and you know, helped him make the determination that we needed to chart a new course, because we just were not going to be able to get where we wanted to get with the Constellation program. We really do want to put people on Mars, and we want to put people on asteroids, and we want to go back to the moon, and we want to explore deep space. And you can't do it if all you have is a rocket, you know, and a capsule for the crew to be in. You've got to be able to develop landing systems. You've got to be able to do things when you get there. And so we kind of stepped back and started with what we have now, and it's an evolvable program. The heavy lift launch vehicle that we rolled out a few weeks ago. It'll start out as a 70 metric ton vehicle that we're building on a lot of the components from Shuttle, some of the components from the Ares program, but it's a start. And it allows us to do something. John used the words affordable and sustainable. Affordable means you have a budget and you've got to live within your budget. And that's the way we're trying to do it. So we have designed a system that fits within the budget, and we think that with international participation and international cooperation, it will become sustainable, because we'll have international partners just like we have on the International Space Station, and so you have more people who understand the value of what you're doing. And I think that's just important, just incredible. Just in the past couple of months, we launched missions to Jupiter, Juno. Juno is an absolutely incredible mission. It has solar cells. Now, it's the first time that we have sent a satellite to a distant planet, to one of the outer planets, with solar cells. We usually have nuclear power source because the sun just can't get enough energy there, you know, to power spacecraft. Well, technology has come along such that now we think we have solar cells on Juno, and so it's going to make that trek, and it's going to operate around the Jovian, you know, learning things about this huge gaseous planet on solar cells. And that has great benefit back here on Earth, you know, once we demonstrate that. We have Grail, a set of twin satellites that we just launched about a month ago on the way to the moon. They're just kind of taking a circuitous route to get there. It'll take 3.5 months to get there instead of 2 days. But when they get there, they're going to be following each other around the moon, the lunar surface, and measuring the gravitational fields of the moon by one in the back, noticing the very minute, I mean, millimeter differences in altitude as it moves across the lunar surface, mapping the gravitational field of the moon, actually learning things about the moon from its core to its crust. And that's Grail. And it's incredible. For Americans, it's a big deal, because the last time we had 2 vehicles flying around the moon in control formation, anybody want to guess? Who wants to guess? John knows.
I know.
When was it? Apollo 17. When the last human being left the surface of the moon and rendezvoused with the command module to come back home to Earth, that was 1972. That was the last time that human beings had 2 spacecraft in control formation around our moon. And that's a big deal. It should be a big deal for all of you, because, you know, it's international cooperation that's making all this stuff possible. In November comes the big grand, I like to call it the big kahuna, because we're going to launch the Mars Science Laboratory. It's the size, if you haven't seen it or read about it, it's the size of a Volkswagen. It's big. And it will be a rover that will land on the surface of Mars and will traverse hundreds of kilometers a day. You know, we move in millimeters now in moving Spirit and Opportunity, when they were, well, Spirit's not moving anymore, but moving Opportunity around. Instead of moving centimeters and millimeters, we'll be moving kilometers over the surface of Mars. And we're going to do things like you all were talking about today in your presentations. Somebody mentioned, boy, wouldn't it be great if we had high-definition television? Curiosity has high-def, 3-dimensional TV capability. So kids in schools around the world, when we get Curiosity on the surface of Mars, are going to be looking at real-time 3D high-def TV from the surface of Mars. You know, think about it. That is just mind-boggling. But we're months away from doing that. When I look at what we're doing in terms of low Earth access, getting to the International Space Station, we found we couldn't afford it. You know, NASA cannot be an exploring organization of making America an exploring nation with the rest of you if we've also got to own, operate, and do everything with the vehicles that are taking humans to the International Space Station. And so we went back to what, you know, we're a capitalist society. We don't do as well at it as some of the non-capitalist societies sometimes, but we are a capitalist society. And so we should depend on American industry and American business to do things that they know how to do, that we, NASA, have taught them how to do, because together we've developed capabilities and technologies that enable us to do these kinds of things. Going into low Earth orbit is hard, and it always will be. Going into space is very difficult, but it is something that we know very well how to do. And so we've handed that off to industry. And the same people who used to build the spacecraft that we bought and we operated, we're now saying, look, we're not buying them from you anymore. I'm going to rent the service. And whether we do it like a taxi or whether we do it like a rental car is still to be decided. But we're going to procure the service to get our astronauts to the International Space Station. Cargo is going within months. You know, Bill, where are you? Gershwin. He's around. Raise your hand, all right? And see, he'll stop. He will stop me if I say something incorrect. Okay, you got it? Am I doing okay so far? All right. Within months, Bill's folk, working with Orbital Sciences out of Dulles, Virginia, and SpaceX out of Hawthorne, California, are going to be delivering cargo to the International Space Station. For us in the United States, it's a big deal, on American-made spacecraft. Now, you know, I say American-made, they're made by an American company, but they're international in their very origin and makeup, because, you know, you've got a Ukrainian rocket, you've got a Russian engine, you've got all this other kind of stuff. So, but it's American companies creating jobs in America, but also creating jobs around the world, taking cargo to the International Space Station, and that's going to happen within months. We're not years away from doing that. We're about to put a request for proposal on the street for commercial crew capability, and that's going to be, you know, maybe 3 to 5 years, and then your astronauts and my astronauts and cosmonauts are going to be going to the International Space Station and other low Earth orbit destinations on spacecraft that were made by multiple people, not just going on Soyuz, but going on spacecraft that were made by American companies and partnering with some of your countries, actually. So it's really exciting. Last year was an absolutely incredible year for us. My goal as the NASA administrator is to keep America's space program as strong as it can be, and to make sure that we provide the leadership that you all expect of us, leadership and exploration, that the U.S. has given to the world for decades. I think you expect that of me and of America, and we're going to do that. We're not going to let you down. I know, you know, it's kind of difficult right now. You see everybody's in financial difficulty. But that's when you tighten your belt and you go back and you replan some things the way that we're doing with a lot of our really critical missions, and you say, okay, what is key for us to do? What things can we put off till later? That's the hard part. You know, it's not hard tightening your belt and figuring out how to do the things you really want to do. The hard part for us in the United States is determining what is it we are not going to do. Because we cannot do everything. And so some things are going to fall off the table, and that's the struggle that we're doing right now, but we're working it with our international partners, and you see it all the time. Let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you before I sit down here. I'm going through my notes, all right? I don't want to upset people. I will tell you, one of the other things that's really interesting about being in the U.S. right now as we go through struggles between the administration and Congress is there is one area where there doesn't seem to be this big struggle, and that's in space exploration. I think as your groups briefed today, all 5 groups briefed, there was no question about, are we going to explore? Did anybody say that? Did you hear that from anybody? What we talked about today was, how are we going to explore? I don't think there was anybody who didn't mention Mars. John mentioned it tonight. The ultimate destination for all of us is Mars. Now, I have 3 granddaughters, beautiful girls, 11, 8, and 9. 11, 8, and 5. The 11-year-old's the rocket scientist, also an environmentalist, so I got to figure out how she's going to balance this, you know, rocket engines and taking care of the environment and all this kind of stuff. But when I talked to her about going to Mars, she says, you know, you're selling it short. I said, that's not where we're going. We're going farther. And I said, okay, I'm with you. You know, I'm really with you. But it is exciting to listen to you, to the space generation. The letters and cards and emails that I get from people helping me do my job come in two flavors. They're in your generation's flavor, and they're in my generation's flavor. And because everybody in my generation isn't like most people in my generation, some of us are like you. The people in my generation think that we should continue to fly shuttle forever. You know, and find a way to use shuttle to build things on orbit so that we can do exploration. And it'll come one of these days. Well, I came to the astronaut office in 1980 to go back to the moon and to go to Mars. I really thought that I was going to have an opportunity as an astronaut, as an American astronaut, to set foot on the moon and hopefully go to Mars. And then we had what happens in life. You know, we had the Challenger accident, which was devastating to us, devastating to the world, because I think it really set us back. It put us back on our heels. But we have been given an opportunity, I've been given an opportunity, and my country has by President Obama, to reset and to start where we know we should be and go forward. And so, is it going to be hard? You bet it is. Is it going to be fun? You bet it is. An important thing for all of you, though, are we going to lose some people as we do this? Yes, we will. And in the messages that you deliver, the communications, you know, we were talking about, one of the groups was talking about communications. You have to be honest with people. We do daring things. We do dangerous stuff when you get right down to it. You remember when you were younger than you are now, and if you were like me, you go down to the river and where your mom and dad told you not to go, or I had a dam in Columbia, South Carolina, really slippery and everything, and my cousin and I used to love to go across the dam of the Broad River. Because it was just a challenge to get from one bank to the other, going across the slippery dam without slipping into the water. And we made it. You know, once my cousin slipped in and, you know, I kind of jumped in the water, brought him out, but we made it to the other side. That's what we're trying to do. The other side for all of us in this room is places like asteroids and Mars and deeper space. And we've been given an opportunity to do that, and I'm convinced we're going to do it, and we're going to do it well. But it's going to be very hard. We're going to lose people along the way, just like the early pioneers in my country did, and just like the pioneers in all of your countries did. But it's worth every single life that we lose, and it's worth every single dime that we spend. And so our communications challenge is to tell our story of our dream. Tell people what it is that we know we can do. We're not guessing. We know we can do this. And together I'm convinced we will. So I really look forward to reading the reports out of this Congress. It's always fun to get together with you all so that you don't have to listen to me dribble on and on and on again next year. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not coming to speak. I'm coming to listen. You know, we'll find somebody else who can come speak to you. But thanks so very much for allowing me to spend some time with you. Thank you so very much for everything that you do as the space generation. God bless all of you, and together we're going to move forward. Thank you very much. Do I have something to do right now? Can we do it? We're going to find, I have a couple of presentation items that I would like to leave, and then you don't have to worry about me anymore. This is, as I said, we just safely flew out the shuttle, and this book is called Wings in Orbit, and it's the story of the space shuttle, and it's written by people who lived it. I mean, I think I may even have a couple of quotes in here or something like that. But I'm honored to. Whoop, that's not yours. Get ready to give you the wrong one. Michael, would you and Catherine come up? Get ready to give you. Please accept that thanks for the work that you all have done. It's been incredible. And for you, and then I'll get each of you. I have a flown coin. I have my own coin. Don't have one in my pocket right now, but I have them over there, and they were administrators' coins that were flown aboard Discovery on its last flight on STS-133. So I'd like to give the three of you that in appreciation for what you have done for the Space Generation Congress, for you over the years and for you all over the last couple of years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.